Hey, Ag Teacher Thoughts here, coming at you with another video. We're going to try this in a new format. We're going to do what I call the Ag Teacher Thoughts Lab. So we're going to look at a plant today, and this is kind of part two of something that I was talking about earlier. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at a plant. Let's see if we can get this to write on here. We're going to look at a plant that a farmer, I heard a story relayed from a farmer that called this eyeweed. Eyeweed. Yes, forgive my handwriting here. I'm not a doctor. I am a teacher, but I'm not a language arts teacher. I am an ag science teacher. So we're going to talk about eyeweed. What in the world is eyeweed? Well, let me introduce eyeweed to you. What in the world could it be? This is what this farmer called eyeweed. Now, why in the world would it become, or would it be named eyeweed? It's not a common name I've ever heard of any other time other than that. But what this really is something completely different. So let's look at it and we'll find out the why so that we can find out the how. So this is what he called eyeweed. And this is in the Brassicaceae family, or your cabbage and mustard family. And with it, it has a very interesting seed pod, which is actually going to lead you into why it was called eyeweed. So this is take two of this video, so hopefully you forgive me for not drawing this live, but let's color this in a little bit darker so that you can see that. We are down in the lab today. We don't have a whiteboard, and we will explain what is going on here. So with this on this plant that is called eyeweed, we have these little seed pods. And in these seed pods, we have seeds that are set up in a singular row in there, in this seed pod. So it's shaped just like this. The plants, or the seeds themselves, are circular in shape, but they're also kind of flat. So if this was a side view, so top view, it's going to look like this. Side view, it's going to come down and almost taper, almost like an eye shape, or the best way I know how to describe it is it's shaped like a milk dud. So these seeds are all lined up in here, and then they're in this pod that as it dries, it starts developing an external tension on there. So you've got a rigid center, and then these edges out here, they start to shrink and dry out, and then at one point in time, when it gets disturbed, these little coverings go flinging off. They go flying out, and when they do, they carry the seeds with them, and then the seeds break off and fly. So it snaps quite violently once it dries out. But it doesn't just snap randomly. It has to have some sort of external stimulus to make it go. And that's where the name eyeweed came from. So when it throws its seed, it can throw them quite a distance. I've been working on these and had them throw it at least 3 feet in the air. And when they do that, they tend to actually, here's one of them there, they tend to actually land in your eyes if you're not careful. Told you we were going to do more of a lab setting here. So let's bring out some of our tools. If we're going to act like we're in a lab, we better look like we're in a lab. Get a few more tools. So here we go. Let's grab this. So you can see that it's flat in shape. We've got it kind of on the side there, and the seeds are lined up in here. But it throws these seeds about 3 foot, and it just absolutely loves to get them in your eyes because it's throwing about a dozen seeds or more. It could be 3, 4 seeds, it could be a dozen, it could be 16, and it's going to fling them up about 3 foot. And if you're bent over pulling this weed up, they're going to go right in your eyes. And then as they're in your eye, the thing that's kind of annoying is here's your eyeball here, they love to actually go right towards your tear duct, and they will get stuck right in your tear duct. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let's see if we can draw that a little bit darker. Imagine that being your eyeball staring at you. But they go right here into your tear duct, right in the corner. And that is where you have a little drainage tube, and they like to get stuck down in there, and it can be very, very annoying. And the best part is the seeds are very, very smooth, but getting them out of your eye is actually very difficult, especially if you're out in the garden and you've got a lot of extra dirt on the bottom. But that's why this farmer had called it eyeweed, but it's not eyeweed. The actual name for that is hairy bittercress. That's an accepted common name. And Cardamine hirsuta would be the scientific name, and it is from the Brassicaceae family, or your cabbage and mustard family. So with this, it's one of your first weeds that come up in the spring, so definitely try to get it pulled up before these seed pods develop, because once they develop and they dry, they're going to start flinging those seeds. And where is it? They're here somewhere. Of course, I seem to have taken them. But anyway, one of the ways to fight against it is to actually wear sunglasses or safety glasses to keep them from going into your eyes. But you definitely want to pull it before it gets to that point. So this is about the point that you want to pull it. It's large enough to grab a hold of. It's just going into bloom, so we know that it's not actually set seed. This one is a few weeks further along. This piece actually came from right here. So this is about 2 or 3 weeks from this actually starting to throw seed. Prior to it going into bloom, it does have a leaf that is shaped like this. So you get individual leaves, and they are arranged in a rosette. So if you're going in, you would see these all arranged around in a circular pattern. And then it's going to send a bloom spike up in the center very, very quickly. But this is your hairy bittercress, the Cardamine hirsuta. Sometimes we call that whatever we come up with at the time. But in this case, we had a local farmer that was actually talking to my father when he was a county agent and was talking about eyeweed. But try to make sure when you're dealing with plants that you are using their actual, either their scientific name or their generally accepted common names. And this is the first of many weeds that we'll talk about. Hairy bittercress in the Brassicaceae family, Cardamine hirsuta, or as some farmer coined, eyeweed. Hope you learned something today. Ag Teacher Thoughts, out.